All right, we are live on the air. Thank you, everyone who is tuning in today. We are pleased to have Enrico Sada again presenting on F# and ASP.NET Core 1.0. Sorry for the delays on this one. We had several scheduling conflicts, but we're happy to have Enrico today to talk about this. I'm about to hand it over to him, but please don't forget we're currently doing the Community for F# Heroes. I believe Enrico has already received several nominations, but we're going to leave the nominations open through the end of the month. So head on over to c4f#.net /heroes, or just go to the website, scroll down, enter some nominations, and we'll start voting early next month. So without further ado, thank you, Enrico, for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing your content.
Okay, everyone, I'm going to let me share my screen. So I'm going to give a quick introduction to ASP.NET Core and some ASP.NET MVC. I'm going to split this session in 3 parts. First, a little introduction about .NET Core SDK, because everything is based on the .NET Core SDK, so we can see some really simple use of the same features we are going to use for ASP.NET Core. After, we are going to see some ASP.NET Core, the basic, and trying to publish to Azure and Docker. After that, we are going to see some more specific MVC implementation with another example. So you can download the SDK, the .NET Core SDK from hp.net. You don't need to install with MSI if you don't want. You just need to download the .NET Core. There you can see other downloads, and you can just download the SDK binaries only if you want. Like that, you just unzip in a directory, add that directory to path, and that's it. You don't mess with your machine, so it's really easy to change. For example, I have multiple versions of the same, and you just need multiple SDK version. You just need to add this directory to path, and add this directory to path, and that's it. Okay, the first demo, it's going to be a simple console app, because everything is a console app or a library. Also the ASP.NET application. If you download the latest SDK, it's updated in September. That's the version. That's the specific version. In this version, the .NET templates are fixed, so you can just do .NET new -L sharp or sharp or F# as you want, and that's going to create a console application. If you want a library, just add the type lib. So now we created 2 files, our main files and our project JSON. There are 2 commands you really need to learn. It's .NET Restore. It's going to download every dependency, every package from Nugget.org, because everything is published now. There is no special feed to download. Sometimes it takes a bit. So okay, This tool is the F# compiler. The F# compiler is not embedded like in GAC or something. It's just a normal package you can download or change it if you want. That's it. Now we have another file, project.json lock, project lock.json, which contains all the tree of dependencies and the path to local directories where these assembly are. We can just do .NET run this console application. It's going to build and after run if it's required. If the console application is already built and also the project reference, it's not going to rebuild, so it's really fast. Okay, hello world. Visual Studio doesn't support IntelliSense at the moment, so the best tool we can use it's Visual Studio Code. We does support IntelliSense and everything else. So maybe take a bit of time to start up, but after that the IntelliSense just works. Okay, here we go. Now the IntelliSense works, and that's from .NET Core.
And Enrico, we have a question on the live Q&A. Do you like VS Code over, say, MonoDevelop for F# support?
I don't know about F# MonoDevelop for .NET Core at the moment because I don't know what's the integration. Only that. I use VS Code because it's cross-platform and works really well at the moment. Because I don't know if the MonoDevelop support or Xamarin Studio support project.json at the moment. If it does support, it should work because it's the same as C#. I don't know about IntelliSense. Also, MonoDevelop and VS Code use the same project, F# compiler service, so it should work. Now you have complete IntelliSense. As usual. And we can just now, let me use some snippet because I never remember. Okay. Okay. You can see there is full IntelliSense for everything. You just need to build the project one time before, because at the moment the implementation requires you build one time. After that, you have the IntelliSense. The IntelliSense works, and we can just run it. So, can just run Control P. Run with .NET Core. Okay. We can just run inside there in the VS Code. We just need to update this if, .NET Core app. .NET Core app 0 and the project name, console FS. That's because Visual Studio Code asked me if I want to do that automatically, but I choose no. But we just need to tell him where is our assembly. So after that, configure the task runner. Task runner is .NET Core. At the moment, the debug doesn't work, so we can run it, but we cannot debug it. So it's going to output. debug. Hello world from Windows. That's it. We can just do the same from terminal. There is the terminal inside Visual Studio Code. We can just .NET run. And that's it. Hello world. Now, there are two features I want to show about Project JSON. The first are tools. Tools are really nice because it are some executable you can download to help you. So, for example, .NET Watch. .NET Watch, it's used to rerun the command and watch when one file change. You can just re-execute the same command. So .NET Restore, because we changed the package inside Project JSON, so we need to restore another time. It's going to download the .NET Watch. After that, we can just .NET Watch run. It's going to run .NET run. Run. Okay. It's going to compile. Okay. The console app is exited, but it's .NET Watch. It's going to wait for changes in files. So if I change a file and save, it's going to rerun it. That's really nice for web application and unit test. You can just run .NET Test, for example, and .NET Watch test. It's going to run .NET Test, so you can just or continue to build. You can just .NET Watch build, so it's going to rerun until it works. And this is a tool. Another really nice feature is scripts. Scripts. Inside VS Code, there is IntelliSense for Project JSON, and it's really nice. So scripts are events, like in old FS Project. So we have multiple events. There are only these events. So we can just do something before compile. For example, call an npm version. We can run multiple commands using an array.
Since you're referencing NPM, maybe this is a good time to ask, is it, and this may be too early to know for sure, but is it common to reference NPM from the project JSON or to invoke the ASP.NET build or the .NET build from NPM package JSON?
No, it depends, because in ASP.NET you are going to use the default templates, use Bower, NPM, and Gulp or Grunt to do something with the JSON, with JavaScript. So minify, bundling, everything. So it's something you do, but it's not pre-compile, but maybe pre-publish. Before publish, you can just minify or something else. We are going to show that after in the ASP.NET templates. Okay, that's it. So if we are going to build, okay, we are going to see the npm version somewhere. You're going to see somewhere the npm version, our commands. That is nice because it's used by .NET and others to do something after, before publishing or after publishing. Maybe you want to publish, post-publish, you want to create a Docker container or something like that. Really easy. You don't need, if you need more, you need fake or other build orchestrator, but for simple stuff, it's really nice. Okay, I'm going to remove that at the moment because it's not needed, and also tools. And I'm going to create a I'm going to use Docker and build a container with this console application because it's the same with ASP.NET. It's really easy. So console fs. We can do that. Is it there? Okay, it's easier there. So here. First stuff is to create a Docker file. There are some .NET images you can use. I'm going to use the simple one because it's easy to start. If you want to make something more with less memory, less disk space, more optimized, you can choose in this repository. And there are also Docker image for Windows Nano, Windows Server, and other distribution of Linux. So that's my an helper method I use to create some files. It's just a copy from my local machine. But the Docker file is always the same. This is another project. Sorry. Okay, the Docker file, it's really easy. We are going to use the Microsoft.NET latest image. This contains both the SDK and the core. So it's really large, but it's easy because we can just copy our application, change the work directory, and just run the same commands. So restore, build. And when the container is run, it's just .NET run. A more complex solution is to use .NET publish and use only a trimmed down version of .NET image to just use .NET Core, not the full SDK, because you don't need to rebuild every time. Okay, Docker. Now we have a Docker file, so we can just build the container. Okay. Sure. Hello console. Dot. The last dot means from this directory. So it's going to create. It's just rerunning the same command we used before. So restore and run inside the container. Okay, so it's running build now. That's it. Now we have a new image. It's based on .NET latest. It's big, but because there is the whole SDK, using a publish, it's a lot less space. But now we can just Docker from another directory, just to be sure. Docker run -t. And now we just specify the console. And that's it. This is run from inside the container. From there, the version is Windows. From there, the OS description is Linux. That's the Moby container. So that's it. That's simple. That's the same workflow AspNet use. And it can be used for every console app. So it doesn't require AspNet or complicated setup. Now, we are going to see some AspNet core, the base, not the full MVC framework. So the doc are really nice, and pretty much everything in the doc, in the documentation, should work with F#, because it's just the code is in C#, but that's something we, as community, we can help, because we can just contribute in the documentation, because it's open source. So we can just add F# there, like Azure or Azure Function. We now have F# documentation. So if you see the doc, documentation, the best way to create a new project is to use Yeoman. To install it, you just need npm. So you need npm install -g Yeoman. You need a AspNet generator and Bower. That's everything. The Yeoman, the Bower is required for AspNet if you want the client-side JavaScript, and the other two are for templates. At the moment, there are no templates of F#, so we can just contribute there some templates, but it's really the same. We are going to show you a templates. If you want, you just copy these templates, and we can contribute back in Yeoman after. As you see, it's always the same. .NET Restore, .NET Run. Run, just execute build because it's options. And the file are usually the project JSON, custom, a nice Docker files. And so we cannot use Yeoman at the moment, but I'm going to show you the same templates converted to F#. So this F#, AspNet basic. It's just the same template, because we have a really nice editor. We can use that. So that's a simple, really simple AspNet core application. First, there is an entry point because it's a console application. It's not really more than that. There you create the configuration and configure the host where it's going to be hosted. So we are using Kestrel at the moment, but you can use IIS or Nginx if you want after. But at the moment, for local testing, Kestrel is really fast. So it's really simple. We are creating the configuration from passing command line arguments. We are using the environmental variable AspNet core for changing, for example, production from development, like environment. We are going to use this configuration with Kestrel from this directory using this startup class. The startup class has two methods. Configure service, It's used for dependency injection, and configure, where you can create and configure everything you need. For example, the logger, create an error page, or if you are in development, you can just use additional information, and an handler. So the minimal version is this one. So you just need to create an application builder, and create some middleware to run it. That's a middleware. So the request, it's going to be executed in a request handler, a middleware. There are three different ways to do that. A middleware is going to call the next middleware, so you can add more stuff, like for authorization, or you can short circuit and exit, or you want just to do something, so you can just use run. There are three types of delegates, of request delegates: run, map, and use. Run is the easier one. It's just a function from, sorry, the function is this one. Give me. Okay. The function is from a HTTP context and return a task. I use an helper method, so we can just write our sync version, and it's easier to read. The helper method is just this one. It's going to start convert from a sync unit to task. So from a sync unit computation to task. And because all these methods, run, use, and map, are extension method, so we just added another one to make things easier. So our handler is going to just write a response, hello world from F#. So let's run it. I just done the .NET restore. We can just need to do the .NET run. Okay. It's listening at this. Okay, sorry. Okay. Localhost. You can change in the configuration everything you want. Hello world from F#. There you see we got a request. You can also create some more verbose logging. Everything you need is explained in the ASP.NET documentation. It's really, really big. There are really a lot of arguments, and pretty much everything works with F#. So now we are going. There are no other files. There is a Docker files, but it's pretty much the same. It's just doing .NET restore, .NET build, expose the port, and passing these arguments, so we can it just bind to localhost. And if you want to, let's stop it. If you want to publish, to have a self-contained application, you just need to do .NET publish. That's going to build everything, and also run additional post-build script. For example, you can, if you want, publish to IIS, if you want to. This simple doesn't do Minify or with Gulp or anything else. So start up. Okay. In this directory, you have your self-contained application. You can just Xcopy deploy wherever you want. You have everything, Core, obviously, your website, and everything else. You need to run it as portable application. Portable application in the .NET Core terminology. You have also a web config, which is created using the ASP.NET Core modules. So you can just host this website with IIS if you want to, but you don't need to. You can use Kestrel or Nginx. It's not really an issue. If you don't want the web config, you just command the IIS integration, just that. Now we are going to publish this in Azure because it's fast. So to publish my web application in Azure, I just need to create a new website, a new web app in Azure. So web app. Let's search in the marketplace, web application, web app. Okay. Let's create it. A name, for sure. Demo. Create new. I don't care about resource group. Into dashboard because it's nice. Okay, it's deploying our application. Let's see, usually it's fast. Okay, deploying succeeded. Now we are going to use Git to push us a remote. So we need to configure in the deployment options. We just configure a local Git repository. Okay. Deployment function. Okay. In overview, we can see the Git remote. We can copy it. We just need to add a remote. Push Azure master. Okay. Okay, that's going to publish to push my branch, master branch, and in the this is the scripts in the Azure. It's going to download, restore, and rebuild everything. You need a bit of time the first time because it's installing everything. This is the fast solution, fast and easy solution to do that, but it's really nice. Okay, we are near. Okay. Well, okay. Meanwhile, is doing that, we can just do the same with Docker because it's fast. Short. So we have a Docker file. We just need to create the same. So Docker build. Now we need to create another image. Hello web. Dot. Wrong directory. Sorry for Azure, but it's going to take a bit. Meanwhile, we can just use Docker. We have created another Docker image. Okay, sorry if I move from one and another. Okay, Azure is done. Okay, now we cannot run the container with .NET Run like before because it's going to wait. We can just we can run it with detached. We need to map the port, and we need to use the sharp web. Oops, sorry. Oops, Docker run, not .NET Run. Okay, because it's detached. Now I have the control. Docker yes, show our container, and we can just check our container localhost. We mapped there, and that's it. Hello from F# inside the container, like before, it's just the same. We can stop. Oh, it doesn't care at the moment. Okay. Meanwhile, Azure finished to publish. So now we can just check our dashboard overview, and we can check the URL. And this one is published on the Azure. These are the quick starts, so it's the easiest way to start, but it's really nice because you can see, we can test your tools, and after you can just follow the tutorials on how to do that faster and with less resources. Okay, F#. Now, we are going to see some .NET Core MVC. .NET Core MVC, it's add the dependency injection, controller, view, and the models to .NET Core. We are using another templates more complex. It's just the template you see if you try to create that's the template you can create for C#. For F#, there is not at the moment. You can just copy the templates I'm going to publish on GitHub. Next version of SDK, we are going to have our template there. So we are going to use like that. I hope it's not web like that, because it's better, because there is Suave who works really well. And we are going to have multiple solution for F#, but ASP.NET, it's a good solution. So the templates, let's see. Let's use code as usual, because it's really nice. Close orders. So the application is the same, it's just more complex. We have the usual stuff you see, so a project JSON with our files. The pre-published script and post-published script are more complex because they're using npm, bower, gulp to minify and do other stuff with JavaScript. It's going to change the prefix of CSS and other stuff like that. And but we don't need to change everything at the moment for the templates, because it just clients a JavaScript. We don't need that in this demo. So as usual, there is an entry point. Like before, it's just using Castro and using the startup class, this startup class, to configure everything. In the startup class, we are going to have a more complex configuration, so using an app settings files and an app settings file based on the environment. So you can specify what logging level you want normally, or in production, the connection string, like webconfig was before. But it's not mandatory. It's something you start if you need it. Otherwise, you can just don't use it, or take the connection string from another place, or change the logging, everything you want. For example, this is using another tool to manage the user secrets. If we search for tools, it's going to use watch, .NET compile FC is F#, Razor, because the view are based on Razor, IIS integration, because it can publish to IIS, entity framework, because it's based on some part on entity framework. The secret manager is just a command. Every command you see is you can run it from command line, because they're just command line. So it's just .NET Watch is just a .NET Watch executable. In the startup class, we have configured everything for the hosting part. Now we can configure the services, so we can choose where to get the DB connection, the connection string, create a SQLite database, add MVC, who just create some routes and configure the add a middleware to parse the request. And we are going to use the dependency injection container to inject some dependencies. The other method is the configure. It's just to choose the login level. We are going to use an error page in production, but not in development. We can use static files, so are served before we are going to before, and we can configure the routes, so controller /action/id usually. Now it's just a normal MVC like the latest version. We have a controller, for example, the home controller. It inherits from controller class. We have multiple members. We are just, for example, there is no parameter, and there it's going to pass some arguments to view. By convention, the view is the same. The name of the view is the same of the action. This is an action. So in the home controller index, if I call view, I'm just asking to render home index view. This is a razor file. It's a razor syntax. It does work. In razor file, we can just use view data. It's just a dictionary, so it's a string object. It's just a simple dictionary. Or we can use sorry, I lost again. No. No. Oops. Contact. No, contact. Okay. We can use the view data with just a dictionary, or we can use the view bag with just a dynamic baked by the view data dictionary. Usually, it's the view data is used because it's faster, so it's just a performance problem. But you can write like that if you want. In the home controller, we are just setting this entry. For example, about, we are setting the view data message. About, and there we are writing that. So let's run this. It's compiling. Okay, it's compiled. Now it's going to run. Same default port. We can just okay, that's a simple template. We have our home, we have our about, and that's our application, description, etc. We have contact. For example, home about, we can change the message. Just refresh. That's it. If we change the F# code, we need to recompile, but we can use .NET Watch to continue to rerun if we change our code. So it's really faster as feedback loop. We can have this is a simple container. In container, we can use dependency injection. There is already built-in dependency injection container inside the ASP.NET MVC. and you just need to declare a class, the parameter of the constructor, and configure inside your startup configuration of everything. You don't need to write, these are just a normal classes. So if you want to write code more like F#, you can. For example, you can just use async directly because it's your code, so it's your service. You can write like you want. Also, if you want, you don't need to use the dependency injection. It's just something there is already, and it's nice because if you want, for example, get the logger factory, you just declare it in the parameter constructor and create a logger. After that, you can use the logger, for example, there to log information or everything else. The parameters, you can add attributes like the the previous version of ASP.NET and MVC. You can add attributes to specify if a method, if an action is that a get or post, if allow anonymous access or not. And in action, an action can have multiple arguments, where from query string, and just word. Your view model, everything can be F#. For example, this is a type. It's just a it's not a class. For example, this login view model is just record type. We can see there. View models, person models, in view model. You can write like a record if you want to, or you can use a normal class. You want, it's the same. If you write as a record, you need to add clean-mutable attribute because it requires default constructor to parse the arguments. And after that, it's just normal code. You can have async method, async action, but an async action requires a task. So we are going to use async start as task to convert our async computation to task before return this method. This is another area who can be improved. If we can contribute and change ASP.NET to support directly the async, so we can just write like that after, and we don't need anything else. At the moment, you need to convert as task.
Enrico, does the ASP.NET on .NET Core have the same extensibility that, say, Web API used to have in full .NET? Because in the previous Web API, you could basically intercept the return values and then convert an async into task in sort of like a plugin of some kind.
I don't know at the moment because I didn't check it, but it's a complete rewrite, so it's a bit different, the implementation from previous version. There is action view models obviously, but the implementation of ASP.NET Core is different. ASP.NET Core can run also on full .NET framework, so it's just the next version of ASP.NET. And I think if we ask the ASP.NET team, we can see where we can just because it's just a return type, so it's I think it's not really a big issue, but it's something we as a F# community should contribute to. And at the moment, it's not really that issue, because we need to just to do async start as task, so just like that. And this template, it's the converter template. For example, I didn't convert everything in this version of this demo. I have a complete conversion I'll publish that. As you see, it's really similar if you do the view model stuff. And as services, you can write everything you want. You can not use the dependency injection if you don't want to, but you have everything else. For example, you can just use the already Sign-in manager if you want to. You can extend this class. It's a full framework. These are additional libraries, so you can just are not mandatory, and you can implement what you want. So the ASP.NET Core is really nice because it's simple. As you see, the handler are really simple. Context, for example, and task. Return a task. The ASP.NET MVC, you can add everything you want. There are a lot of libraries. There are really a lot of libraries. If you want a static file, if you want use environment variable, configuration from JSON, browser link loader, cookies, lot. This is not the most complex template. You just need to check the ASP.NET ASP.NET MVC, ASP.NET Core documentation, because maybe you just want to do an web API, so you don't want to have a complex controller. You can just, for example, use attribute routing to create something like that, or you can use you can use content negotiation to return different JSON or plain text based on what's the browser requested. So this implementation use, for example, entity framework, but entity framework is really just to create the tables, nothing else. It's not used. It's used internally by the Sign-in manager to manage users, password, etc. It's just a library, so you can use it or not. You can create your table with entity framework or not, because it's not really required. But if you want to extend or use it, it's another stuff, because I didn't try to use entity framework with F# at the moment. I don't think I'm going to. But this is going to really make it easier to convert. If you have knowledge about ASP.NET Core, ASP.NET, and ASP.NET MVC, and want to use in F#, it's really less entangled with the Visual Studio and targets. For example, there the resource file works without issues. And you can also, if you want, create external razor with the view components. There are a lot of, because it's a full framework, it's not a simple library. And also the default template give you nice jQuery validation like that. Login. You have a client-side validation. Something is required or not. You can login. I tweaked a bit, so it's going to return in this view and not do the real login to show it going. You can it works when you post. You just see our login model, a record there. It's logged from there. It's just a login method, and it's returned by as a simple object like view, and just works. So I'm really at the end. So I'm going. We are going to add next the templates. I'm going to push these templates on GitHub, so you can just copy. It's I think it's better if we contribute back the templates inside Yeoman and as Visual Studio templates. You can just run the same command, the same integration inside Visual Studio if you want, because Xproj works. But you cannot, you don't see IntelliSense. But you can build, run, and publish on Docker using your Visual Studio and the Visual Studio extension if you want to. If you don't want to use command line or don't want to use Visual Studio Code, you can use Visual Studio, but IntelliSense and debugging doesn't work at the moment. We can help with documentation to modify the documentation of ASP.NET MVC, ASP.NET Core, and add C#, F#, like the other, for example, in Azure F# functions, and in Azure there are now F# documents, so it's really nice. If you need help or want to contribute, just join the sharp.org Slack channel. There is a .NET Core channel. If you need help, but there are lot of other channel there, so you can really ask for help, or if you want to contribute, you can find people who can with you, or you can join some effort, like in .NET Core if you want to help, or functional chat. There is the F# channel who is really active, and that's it. I'm going to publish everything. I have like links, documentation, and templates, but tomorrow I think. And that's it, Ryan.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you so much for presenting today. If anyone has any questions, we'll stay on for just a moment more. I don't see anything popping up on the Q&A on the YouTube, but I know they're also a minute or so behind. And I also don't see anything on Twitter. So I'm going to assume that we have, that Enrico, you have answered everyone's questions. I did see several comments that people really enjoyed the tutorial and are looking forward to trying to venture this out. So I think you probably definitely nailed what people are interested in and looking for. So thank you very much.
Thank you too.
And just for everyone to remember, if you have any questions for Enrico, you can find him on Twitter at Enrico Sada. He's also on several Slack channels related to F#. Is there any other good ways to contact you if people have questions?
No, just GitHub or Slack or Twitter. So ping me if you need something. Okay. Or if you want to contribute, there are a lot of people inside this channel and the F# Foundation who are trying to start some effort to focused effort to contribute in specific areas of your interest.
Cool. There is a question that just popped up. John Bertsey asks, what's the status of project files?
Okay, project file, I'm going to show you because it's easier. So the next version of SDK, it's going to change the to remove the project JSON. It's not going to remove. It's going to add another like the old FS_Proj, so based on MS Build. I can show you an example. Sorry, it was. So you. It's going to be a simplified model for MS Build. So it's all the this is the C# version. You can just see that in GitHub.net/. Just download and you have it. Build and you can create it. It's just really similar to the project JSON file, but it's using MS Build target. These targets are downloaded from packages, so it's not like before where we had some templates, MS Build target file inside the GAC, and we cannot change it. There, everything is inside the package. So we are going to have, I think, a Microsoft F# target, where we can just compile instead of wildcard. We are going to list every file. We are going to have everything else, and the reference can be reference like before or package reference like project JSON. So you can, I think, because it's going to work with all the reference packet, it's going to work really well, and just that. So it's not this version, but the next version of the SDK. It's a work in progress. 2 weeks ago, they committed the MS Build. It's in the open. They are developing in the open, but it's merged inside their master branch, the REL 1.00, and you just need to after the build, you can just .NET new -t MS Build, and you're going to see the MS Build version of the template. And for F#, we need to create a F# target file, and I think we are doing that at the moment. I created one to test it, who is going to call the F# compiler as usual, because it's always the F# compiler. Everything is just F# compiler. So just like that. But it's going to be really a pretty one-on-one conversion from project JSON, because it's really less complicated, and it's going to support multiple targets based on condition. So you're going to have condition framework net standard, and you can have this condition on the references. So we are going to have references inside item group, and so for example, well, everything, you're going to have one project, we can just use the same command. So the .NET Build, it's going to work, .NET Restore, .NET Pack, it's going to work, .NET Run, and .NET Publish. Everything from SDK is going to work. Something it's going to call, for example, MS Build, it's going to call .NET Build, it's going to call .NET MS Build build target, for example. So it's going to be pretty much like that. But you are going to run .NET build. And that's if answer the question.
Yeah, that was great.
So this is another area. If someone want to help, there is a lot of things to do, from IntelliSense supporting Visual Studio Code, or just from command line. Because everything we write, it's going to help us, because we get for free, for example, a lot of things from other F# and .NET Core SDK.
Outstanding. Well, again, thank you, Enrico. Thank you for your time today. Remember, everyone, we are still having nominations for Community for F# Heroes. So feel free to nominate Enrico. And when we open voting next month, remember this presentation. Remember remember all his work. I hope you don't mind me rooting for you, by the way. But anyway, this has been, I guess, the September edition of Community for F#. We'll hopefully get back into a monthly cadence with these presentations. And I'll have something on the schedule soon, I think, for October. So thanks again for joining, and have a pleasant day.
Thank you.
Thank you.